The 11th anniversary is officially on the horizon, and it got me thinking about this past year of Dokkan in review. There was definitely plenty of content added, but why does it feel like this was one of the driest and most boring years to play in? I feel like most people who don't care about collecting every unit can agree that this year had us struggling to find any reason to play or grind besides the global download celebration. In this video, I want to go over why this year of Dokkan felt so dull, and I also want your guys' opinion in the comments. Subscribe if you're new, and now let me get straight into the first thing I want to talk about. Now, don't get mad at me, but I have been saying that the anniversary this year was kind of mid. The celebration was good and all, and I'm very grateful for all the rewards they gave us, but the units were definitely underwhelming, and I think most people can agree. Let's just be honest, Vegeta was the worst LR release this year. He was such a disappointment. They completely did him wrong, and for such an amazing moment in the show where Vegeta finally got something special, they gave this guy such a mid LR that basically didn't have any purpose. Like, sure, you can use him in easy content, but like, why would an anniversary unit not be good in new content? I don't know. Regardless, very disappointing release. The next probably worst release after that was the SSJ2 Gohan. He was barely top 10 on release in his own celebration, so that's honestly just a major disappointment. Gohan should have been way better, and SSJ2 Cell Games Gohan should have had like everything going for him, but for some reason they gave him guard and 20% damage reduction, which just wasn't enough, especially since they didn't give him too good defense, from his super attack and stuff like that. So he really didn't last long. He was okay during the celebration, but as soon as newer events started coming out, he was left in the dust, and that was just a death sentence for this character. Then we had Go Frieza, who like many people wanted to say he was the worst release, but he actually aged the best out of the worst, if that's anything good at all to say. But he did age decently. The main issue was just that Frieza was basically just a glass cannon, and once Goku came out, you almost had no reason to swap between the two forms unless you knew Frieza didn't have to take an attack anymore, right? So then you just pull out Frieza, he would do his attack, and if you're not getting any attacks at the end of the rotation, there you go, Frieza can go crazy for a bit. But Goku was basically like the only part of this card that was good, and it wasn't exactly easy to get him out. You would have to struggle for a few turns with Frieza, and then you could finally get Goku out, and he would actually be able to take attacks. Now, we all know Vegito and Gogeta were good, but they were clearly intended for long fights, which causes them to get smoked early on in basically any other content that released this year, and that really sucks considering like they were supposed to be the big highlights of the anniversary, and most of the time anniversary units do last the full year, and I've said this many times, these should be useful for the whole year. Now, it's not to say the actual transformation of Gogeta and Vegito aren't good, but once again, they only last 4 turns or whatever, and on top of that, it isn't easy to get them out considering you have to at least do a little bit of setup. The problem is that they start out relatively weak, and especially AGL Gogeta struggles in his early form because he doesn't even have damage reduction. He has guard and defense stats, but yeah, that's not really going to cut it in basically all the content that came out after the anniversary this year. So yeah, major disappointment there, but still cool units when they are transformed, and obviously they are the goats of Festival of Battles, so if you're a festival lover, these are your guys. But besides that, it's really disappointing how they aged for anniversary units. The funny thing is somehow SSJ4 Goku actually managed to age the best out of all the anniversary units, and that's simply because his support was amazing and he has dodge, and also his stacking was pretty damn good. I mean, not much more to say there. He was just probably the best aging out of all of them, and his giant ape form was good. He had dodge and his support was amazing. Pretty straightforward. And for the next release after that somewhat mediocre anniversary, we had Daima Vegeta, who was an absolute joke to this day. Even with support from the new Daima teams and stuff, he is still straight ass. So yeah, he's just a complete joke. Then we had the Universe 6 kind of celebration with Caulifla and Kale. They are okay, but I feel like they got power crept pretty quickly considering the GDC came basically right after this whole universe thing, this whole shenanigans with Universe 6. I wouldn't say they were bad. It's just no one has the same level of interest for Universe 6 because they know that Universe 6 usually gets the short end of the stick and doesn't last too long. Yeah, I don't think it was like a big celebration that a lot of people were super hyped for, but it's not to say they were a bad unit. They're definitely good on release, and the guaranteed dodge of the first attack is pretty cool. Can save you in some pretty good, pretty tough situations. And also when Kale comes out, she can have crazy defensive stats with her whole field of orbs. And yeah, I mean, by no means were they a bad unit. It's just kind of a uninteresting character, right? Like, not a lot of people actually like Universe 6 Saiyans. We also had Golden Week, which was, I don't know, Golden Week was like the most average celebration in my opinion, simply because Hit was amazing, but he was also, you know, the festival battles merchant. At least he could still be used in some other stuff. He wasn't awful. But then you had Kaioken Blue Goku. Kaioken Blue Goku was probably the most boring and disappointing release of the year. Such a cool character, such a cool moment, wasted completely with this terrible kit, and having to waste a revive for him to barely improve is also really disappointing. So yeah, I mean, Golden Week was shameful, but Hit was like the diamond in the rough there. So Hit gets a pass, but yeah, I mean, that Goku was just, they did him so dirty for no reason. Then we got Saiyan Day. I wouldn't say Saiyan Day was bad, but it was one of the most unhyped releases of the year. Everyone saw Kid Goku and was like, how is this going to really fit in with the teams that are popular right now? You know, is he good? Is he not? Is he like just going to be for festival again or what? What's going on? Regardless, good card, not too interesting though. So he gets a pass, but once again, it was kind of a boring release. So most people didn't really come back to the game or summon specifically because they're like, oh my gosh, a Kid Goku. I want a Kid Goku so bad. It was just like, okay, he's a good unit. Like if I get him, I'm happy, but I'm not going to like go hard and grind. The next unit was also a massively skipped unit, and that was this Perfect Cell STR. Not a fumble by any means. He was actually a very underrated unit, but once again, no one was really interested. Everyone was saving their stones and just skipping him because it was basically a category that probably won't receive too much love in the future anyways. Then we had LRTN, who was, you know, he's still valid, to be honest. He's not bad at all. He's actually very good. The thing is, just Earthlings are kind of rare to see in the meta and to be on really good teams, but Tien was really good. He's still solid. It's just, once again, like not a super hype release, right? Not a character that like everyone wanted. Like we all rock with Tien, like everyone loves Tien, but like it wasn't a super hype release. Like let's say like a, you know, SSJ4 Gogeta. I mean, that's a crazy comparison, but like I'm just saying that's a hype release, right? Like a Gogeta, a Fusion, a Saiyan is a hype release. Just characters who are like good, have good categories, and are fan favorites. Sorry, that just made me think about how Trunks is a fan favorite but never gets any good treatment. Regardless, then we also had Tao. General Tao is very good. His damage is good, but basically everyone skipped him because everyone was just saving stones. That's pretty straightforward. I wouldn't say he was bad. He hit like a truck. I saw him putting up like 76 million attack stats. That is really good for a TUR. I don't know how his defense was. I skipped him too, to be honest. But yeah, then we had Pycon, who was crazy. It's just like, once again, it's like a very niche character that I don't think brought too much hype back to the game, and I think most people skipped him because they were once again saving stones. He was strong and unique, but he lacks teams, and I think he just dropped at a bad time. Like everyone was saving stones again or had no stones, and even though he was cool and good, it just wasn't it. Like I don't even know how to describe it, but as cool as Pycon is, he just wasn't the hype that Dokkan needed. So I might get some hate for that. It was just like, I think most people were fine with skipping Pycon, knowing it would be hard to build teams and other reasons like that, basically. Then we had the amazing GDC. That was the best. I think everyone had a blast during the GDC. I think this is probably when players were at their highest, even higher than the anniversary. And I think it carried the whole year. Just every single release during the GDC was amazing. The worst release was still one of the best units and had one of the best teams. And I wouldn't even say worst, because I'd say Omega was still amazing, but people just wanted to say he was the worst of the releases, and that's fine. I still think Omega's amazing though. And for the worst unit in the GDC, he still managed to hold his own for the whole year, basically. So he did what the anniversary couldn't. And the GDC entirely did that. Yeah, the whole GDC was able to basically last until the end of the year. You could have just run a team from the GDC for the whole year and you would have been fine. So GDC was peak. I have no complaints there. I think everyone loved the GDC. Tons of amazing rewards, great free-to-play units, the clones team, you know, Nova Shenron. It was beautiful. Then we had the 40th anniversary banner, which was just the worst thing I've ever seen. It was straight garbage. And it also didn't EZA the heroes units, which makes sense, but it still hurts nonetheless. I mean, they should have EZA'd them just for fun, just for the stones and stuff, and just so we could play with them one more time before they disappear forever. But they didn't do that, and the banner was awful because what are we doing with basically sub 500k HP in the big 2025? I don't know what we're thinking. Yeah, like we can't even take a super for 600k if we somehow miss our dodge chances and stuff and everything else goes wrong. But like, geez, guys, come on, what the hell were we thinking? This is the 40th anniversary banner. People complained about the animations. It could have been something so amazing, but they somehow messed it up. So that was a big miss. I have hope that maybe next year this kind of comes back or something to replace heroes. At least like something needs to take heroes place, and if they do the 40th anniversary banner correctly, or just switch it from being a 40th anniversary banner to just being like a manga banner, and it's just like best moments from the manga banner, and then they EZA this year's units and just resurrect them and then have like a proper manga team. I have no idea. I don't know. I guess this is where people comment like, I'm glad the fans don't make the game. But regardless, yeah, it was a huge disappointment. Now the next release was the Android Trio. I don't think this is chronological. I don't know what came out first, the GT Evil Duo or the Android Trio TUR. Regardless, Android Trio TR was apparently very good, but no one really cared or had stones to summon for them after the GDC. Even though they were good, not a very interesting release. No one really cares the same way about androids, even if they are cool. The main android that people care about is Super 17, right? Because nobody can beat me when I'm Super 17, and people actually love Super 17. But besides that, I don't really think people care too much for android cards. They usually last very short, like a very short time in the meta, and don't really get much support ever again until like the next year when they get a rare banner, and by then the previous cards are kind of aged out. Anyways, then we had the GT Evo Bros that were a solid dodge character, not really too inspiring. I think a lot of people skipped it even though they were very good. Not very good, but they were good. Then we had Broly, who was an amazing release. The Tech LR Broly, who was once again a festival merchant, but still very cool release. And then we had the Gogeta and Frieza swapping Tech LR. Honestly, I would think this was probably one of the best like non-anniversary, non-GDC celebrations of the year. This was the only other time I really felt inspired to play and grind hard, because it was such a unique character and Broly was also peak. So yeah, that was good. They did good there. Then we had the Daima celebration, which was a ton of fun, but the team should have been way stronger in my opinion, besides Goma and SSJ4 Mini Goku. I think they should have completely waited with SSJ3 Daima Vegeta. I don't know, they should have just put like some filler release after the anniversary, but they should have released this Vegeta on Goku's banner or something, like double side banner units, I don't care, and just make him better. If they released at the same time and the whole Daima celebration was just like completely busted and OP, I think that would have inspired a lot more people to come back. But with just Goma and SSJ4 Mini Goku, I feel like people weren't that stressed to miss it. I did summon for it since I've been waiting for Daima to be in the game for a long time, and I love the show, but I don't think most people were like, oh my gosh, I need to go grind all the free-to-play units, I need to get Goma, I need to get Mini Goku, because basically the main units carrying it were SSJ4 Mini Goku, Goma, maybe Glorio, the old into Daima Goku, who was like basically aged out, and then the free-to-play units, because SSJ3, bro, Daima Vegeta was so bad and is still so bad that we would literally rather run the free-to-play units than him, just because they have dodge. Having that dodge is better than having his like terrible 70% damage reduction. Regardless, I think Daima just needed way more support, because even with these amazing free-to-play units and very solid banner units, I think the team still lacked a lot of powerful options, so they definitely could have did a bit better. But this was a pretty good celebration, let's just be honest. I won't hate on it too much. It was like a few sprinkles away from being peak, and they kind of missed out on that. But yeah, I feel like releases were a bit all over the place this year, and I feel like a lot of them were skipped by most people. When you have people skipping almost every banner, they have no reason to play or grind besides, you know, saving stones for the next anniversary, and you can basically do your daily missions in like, I don't know, like 5 minutes. So most people were probably not playing too much. I don't know, I feel like this was definitely a slow year. I didn't really feel much reason to play, but what I can say positively was that the EZAs this year were 80% on point. So that 80% was very good, and I think EZAs were very solid. But the 20% were releases kind of like Ginyu Goku, Namek Goku, SSJ4 Vegeta, and the Trunks EZAs. Those were some big misses. Namek Goku was probably the best out of those bad ones, but it was just because like his build is a bit odd. He's like supposed to be for long content, but also loses his damage reduction after a while, and the defense that he gains from his supers isn't really making up for it. But he's also supposed to be slot 1, always supposed to be slot 1. I don't know, it's just a bit disappointing. And then obviously we all know the rest of those EZAs that I just mentioned were just kind of straight mid. And the super EZA SSJ4 Vegeta, I don't know why they did him so dirty compared to the Goku, who was actually really good. And then obviously I already talked about the free-to-play units. They were great. Clones, Nova, they carried the year. And also the Daima EZAs were really good. All in all, I just feel like it was a very mid-year, and there wasn't a whole lot to grind for besides the few things that I mentioned, like free-to-play units. I'm really hoping this next year of Dokkan is a lot better, because I've had years like 2023 where I felt like playing the whole year. I was always grinding. The hard content was just straight peak. It wasn't just like slugfests. And I feel like the releases were straight peak. They all worked well together. Like, I don't know, even 2024, dude, it's just like most years I've wanted to play Dokkan year round. Like, there wasn't years where I wanted to just skip like this year. And it was very hard for me to make a lot of content because it was like, I just felt like I wasn't really interested in most of what was going on. So hopefully this next year of Dokkan is more organized and works out better. But regardless, let me know what you guys think. I really yapped a lot in this video, but let me genuinely know in the comments what you guys think, if you like this year of releases or if you found it disappointing or kind of boring. But I feel like this was one of the most boring years of Dokkan. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and bye.